Can you hear me? Is this good?
Yeah.
Okay. This is an excerpt from my novel in progress. What you need to know is that this takes place right after school, and the protagonist of my novel is going to meet his mother's new boyfriend that night. Calvin had enjoyed living just him and his mother, but he was beginning to realize that he wasn't enough for her on his own. She deserved a man, someone to kill the rogue mice that snuck up the pipes in the kitchen and into the holes in the walls, someone to help carry groceries from the taxi and up the stairs. Calvin wore the weight of his mother's loneliness like a backpack full of rocks, and he shouldered some of the blame too. If it wasn't for him, any man would want Lynette, with her good enough job and pretty face. But apparently prettiness wasn't a strong enough pull with an appendage like Calvin, at the height of 11 years old, perpetually in the way. He had a few hours to kill before his mom came home, so he walked a few blocks out of the way to First Street to watch the college boys wait for the train. His favorites wore their hair long and wild and windblown. When they listened to their iPods, they swung their hair back and forth and shook their index fingers around like drumsticks. Sometimes they'd be shaking their heads at the white girls who waited with them. Calvin imagined the conversations, the girls begging, kiss me, with their thin pink lips puckered, and imagined the boys saying, no, shake, shake, hair flip, run a hand through the part, I will not kiss you, I'm in love with Calvin Davidson. His favorite was a dark blonde with hair cut just above his eyes, and though he couldn't see close enough, Calvin imagined those eyes the cool blue of Windex. He had hair around his cheeks and chin, and a nose with a bump like a knuckle bone, a rare smile, straight teeth. The man didn't belong in Calvin's Mount Vernon. He was of a different breed, far beyond those identical brown and beige buildings. Calvin thought the boy should strip off his clothes and run in a field upstate somewhere. Calvin named him Jack. Jack usually took the 436 to Grand Central, to an internship, Calvin imagined, or else to his girlfriend's house, an hour up north with a backyard and a dog that could run off-leash, a jolly golden retriever who never bit or barked. Calvin imagined himself the girlfriend, his own blonde, long, silky ponytail and yoga pants. Picture it. Jack keys in and says, I'm home. Calvin's spaghetti is just about done. The fancy Alfredo sauce, the garlic bread. When Jack comes in, he puts his hands on Calvin's hips and kisses him right on the mouth. Calvin holds the spoon in the air so as not to burn Jack with what white sauce drips down. And after the kiss, he cups a hand beneath the ladle and brings it to Jack's mouth for a taste. The sauce, as usual, is perfect. Jack's train was Calvin's cue to get off the rocky footbridge and get back home, back to reality, where no white boys lived at all. He walked past all of the 4th Avenue shopping, where he only looked at the employees and merchandise through the corner of his eyes. His mother taught him that eye contact was how they got you. In this world, you had to be untrusting. You had to be thick-skinned and big-mouthed when anyone came at you. All it took was the right words from a practice creep, and the next thing you know, it's 9 months later, and you got some hood booger girl pushing out a baby, and who's gonna take care of that? Or it could just as well be some gang thing, to grab you and throw you in a van, some guys having their way with you. You're a soft boy with no bass in your voice. Who would hear you screaming over taxi honks and stereo systems? He walked through the automatic doors of the Duane Reade 2 blocks from his apartment and sniffed some soaps and lotions before heading to the books and magazines aisle. About a month ago, he'd come across an issue of Essence magazine with D'Angelo in a tight white tank top on the cover. He'd spent all but 50 cents on ham and cheese and chocolate milk at lunch, but seeing that smirk and those tattoos through the glossy cover did something to Calvin, something electric. He ran his fingertips across D'Angelo's face and imagined how it would feel to have that stubble scratch against his palm. He wanted to hold D'Angelo forever. He could have put the magazine back on the shelf and come back for it the next day when he had some money, but could he? Could he live another night without those abs in his bed? He looked both ways and slipped the magazine into his waistband. When he got home that first leaving day, he went straight to his room and locked the door behind him. The corners of the magazine had stabbed at his thighs on the walk, but he knew he couldn't take it out until he got home. There were cops around. He had no receipt. How could he explain a copy of Essence tucked into his pants? He had shoved it in with the cover toward his Spider-Man briefs, D'Angelo's face in his crotch, and what would everybody say then? Thank you. Yeah.